Hi guys, this is the start of a bunch of new tutorials for me, and in these next few tutorial videos what I want to do is I want to show you guys a few basics of 3ds Max. I know a lot of you are probably making 2D games in your classes, but the thing is you can mix 2D and 3D objects in Unity, so by no means are these irrelevant to 2D, though you can skip them if you just totally want your games to be 2D, but if you want to make use of a few 3D components somewhere along the line, that's just why I'm gonna do this little mini series of tutorials in 3ds Max. 3ds Max is my personal first 3D program, and it's my favorite one of all. So I'll show you guys some basics. So you'll see over here we have object types. Basically, if you click on one of these, you could click and drag now out to your length, your width, then you release, and then you pull up for your height of this box. Now, what's really important here, guys, is, see I'm doing Control minus to zoom out. Now, what's really important here with this box, or when making anything in Unity, is you have to note, in 3ds Max, is you have to note a bunch of different things. You have your length segments, okay, which I'm going to increase by a couple. And actually what I'm going to do, you have to make sure you're clicking on the correct object. So if I select this object here, let me just delete this one over here. And I want to select this object, so I'll go to up here to my select tool. I'll click on this. I'll go to modify. My length segments, I want to increase those, and you'll see those lines are subdividing the box. Well, that's going to give me geometry or playroom to now start working this mesh. And you'll see the difference between the length, height, and width. Now, the one thing you got to be careful of, Unity, just as in any other game engine, you want to keep a low poly count with all of the 3D objects you put into it. Now, one thing I really want to go over is just the navigation within this system. So you have your Create tab here, you have your standard primitives, which are your standard, shapes and objects. You have, let's say, like a tube, for example, right? So now this is defining that, and then you pull it up. And you have your pyramid. See, so I'd suggest you just play around with that at first. Then you have your extended primitives, which are a bit more complex. And again, this is all being done by just clicking and dragging. Step 1. Step 2, define the height. Step 3, define the roundedness or the chamfer, the level of chamfer. Spindle. So now, depending on what type of game you're making, this could be a flying saucer in one of your 2D games, but you may have a 3D background with a flying saucer flying in the background. Well, there's your flying saucer for a spindle, for example. You got your prism, hose. So you got all kinds of cool things. L extension. So, it's really important to play around with this Create tab. Then your modifiers, by far the best modifier to use in my opinion is going to be your Edit Poly modifier, because this is going to actually allow you, okay, let me just actually delete some of these right here and make us room to use Edit Poly. And I'm going to teach you guys how to use Edit Poly to make any object you desire. So if I get rid of these here, and I'm just clicking on them and I'm hitting delete. Simple enough. And I guess I'll show you Edit Poly in the next tutorial, because I just want to show you guys you have realistic, you have your shaded view, you have consistent colors, edged faces. So we'll turn back on realistic and turn off edged faces, but you got a bunch of things here. Wireframe, if you want to view your thing in wireframe. Now, perspective view, cameras, lights, and this is going to show you the cameras and lights in your scene. We currently don't have any of either, so that's why it's not showing there. Orthographic view versus perspective view. Now, perspective, remember, you're looking at it from an angle. Proportions can be different. Orthographic, it looks like everything is the same distance away from you, not independent of how far away it is from you. Top view, now remember the Viewcube over here can also be used. You just click and you drag around to navigate through your views. You can also toggle the steering wheel. Steering wheels, toggle steering wheels, okay? So here's my steering wheel here. This is one of my favorites. You have your zoom right here. You click and hold. You could center your object, drag the center. You could orbit your object, okay, depending on where the center is. You could just put the center there. So you just click center. You don't drag it. You just click it, and then it makes that your center. And actually, we're running out of time here, but you could pan, and you could rewind as well back to what you previously did. And that's going to be it. See you guys next time.